Hello, everybody. My name is Jared Altick, and I'm here with Kaleb Sackett.
Hey, Jared.
Kaleb, I have a quiz for you.
All right.
Did you study? Yeah.
Well, I guess if you count my life, we'll see.
Yeah, Kaleb does not know what this is about, but I had an idea for a history quiz, and it's called Do They Overlap? This is a real simple quiz. It's just asking whether the end date of a person or an event overlaps with the beginning of another item from history.
Oh, goodness.
And so I'll give you two items, and you answer yes or no whether they overlap.
Okay.
You can ask for a hint in the form of one of the two dates, but I've already determined which one I'll be giving you. You can't request, well, what date did the one start on or the other one end on?
How many hints do I get?
You get the one hint for each one.
Every question, I get one hint.
Every question you can ask for a hint.
Okay.
But it's been predetermined which one.
Do I get bonus points if I don't take the hint?
Oh, yes. Yeah, huge bonus. There's a big prize.
Okay.
It's the pat on the back, satisfaction of a job well done, that kind of thing. The example I have for you, the St. Louis football Cardinals and Kaleb Sackett. Do they overlap?
Well, it's funny. I don't actually know for certain, but I do not believe so. My answer would be no.
That is correct. The Cardinals left for Arizona in 1987.
Okay.
Kaleb was born in 1992. If you had asked for a hint, I would have told you that Kaleb was born in 1992. So you see how this is going to work. I can see
where this is going.
Have a good estimation of how much sympathy I'll be giving you, and we are ready to go. Are you ready?
As ready as one can be.
Okay, your first one. Elvis and MTV. Do they overlap?
I think I know about the time that MTV became a thing. Okay. I can tell you, I know what the first song on MTV was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was Video Killed the Radio Star, but not by the Buggles, specifically by the presidents of the United States of America. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Don't ask me how I know that.
No, better question would be, when did MTV stop showing videos? That'd be interesting. But does Elvis and MTV overlap? Do you want a hint?
I think I want my hint because I don't know exactly when Elvis died.
Your hint is MTV began in 1981.
And see, I kind of already knew that. I mean, Elvis was really big, I feel like, in the 60s. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how old he was when he died or what year he died in. I'm going to say they barely overlapped.
You think that Elvis and MTV do overlap?
Yes.
No. Elvis died in 1977.
Oh, so it was only like 4 years apart. Okay.
Yeah, there's a gap of 4 years between Elvis and the beginning of MTV. All right. Number 2.
0 for 1.
That's
Great.
all right. That's all right. That's all right. The Ottoman Empire and Betty White.
I feel like this is a trick question.
The Ottoman Empire.
Goodness gracious.
Big deal in the 1500s and 1600s.
Well, I know Betty White is in her mid to upper 90s. Mm-hmm. She's getting up there. So that means she was born, let's say, around 1925 or so.
Okay.
I mean, when does one count the technical end of the Ottoman Empire? Because I think I probably would have said no. I think it goes longer in my mind. Because I would have said World War I was the end of the Ottoman Empire, but I think it might technically go a little longer. You can give me a hint. I don't know what the hint is here.
The hint is that Betty White was born in 1922.
Okay, so yeah, it didn't help too much. I don't know if it's World War I or not. I'm going to say that they overlapped.
Yes, they do. The Ottoman Empire was dissolved in 1923.
23?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, when Turkey had its revolution and became an independent country, that dissolved the empire. And so
you are not giving me very much margin on these questions, Jared.
This particular one, they overlapped by a number of months. And so, next one, the original television runs of Friends and How I Met Your Mother. Do they overlap?
My immediate reaction is to say no. The original. Well, when did How I Met Your Mother end? I'm trying to think of when the last season of that was. I feel like Laura and I know it's 9 seasons long. I feel like we were married at that point. So I'm going to guess
But Friends came first.
No, I know. I'm just trying to think backwards here.
Oh, like you're trying to find a date to work backward?
I think How I Met Your Mother ended
yes.
in like 2015 or 2016, which means it would have started in like 2006, 2007. I'm going to say they do not overlap.
They do not overlap. The Friends ended in May 2004, and How I Met Your Mother began the next year in September 2005.
Oh, 5.
And so
okay.
16 months apart. And so they almost
That is
overlap.
kind of incredible.
But a lot of viewers who finished up on Friends found How I Met Your Mother basically, a full year later.
Went right into it.
Yep.
Friends Part 2.
Yep. There's a lot of overlap in those two shows. All right, let's do this. The lifespans of Presidents Herbert Hoover, elected in 1928, and Barack Obama, first elected in 2008, 80 years later.
And when he was elected, he was one of the younger presidents.
Yes.
I don't know exactly how old he was, but I want to say he was either in his late 40s or early 50s. So I'm going to call him 50. He was elected in 2008, which means he would have been born around 58. And Hoover was elected when? You said it just a second ago.
He was elected in 28. Before
1928.
The great stock market crash.
So did he live approximately 30 more years after that? I have no clue, but what's my clue on this one?
Your clue is that Obama was born in August 1961.
Okay, well, I'm getting pretty close on those things. Man, I just don't know. I really don't. I'm going to say they overlap.
They do. Hoover is one of the longer-lived presidents after his tenure.
How long did he live?
Another 30 years. He didn't die until 64. And so they actually overlap by 3 years and 2 months.
Do you know what age he was when he passed away?
I don't have it written down here. Yeah, but Hoover was, 30 years post presidency.
Isn't Carter kind of getting up into that territory?
Carter has surpassed him.
Yeah,
and you can expect that Barack Obama probably will too. And
More than likely.
so very interesting. You will have presidents that will be presidents 50 years from now that'll overlap with Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
And so 50 years from now would be the 2070s. Carter was president during the 70s. You could have, presidents that were president 100 years apart, but their lifetimes will easily overlap.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of how long-lived Carter is.
Well,
but before him, it was Hoover that hung around forever afterward.
And assuming that if he wouldn't have been assassinated, JFK probably would have lived for quite some time after his presidency,
you would have expected that, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so good job on that one, too.
Total guesswork here.
Are you ready for the next one?
Sure.
All right. This one, a little bit more ancient history. I don't know. We'll see how you do here. But a larger margin for error.
Okay.
The Tower of London. Okay, the castle down right on the Thames. The Tower of London and the Lighthouse of Alexandria.
Oh, goodness
One of the ancient wonders of the world.
I'll take my clue, please.
Okay. The tower was built in 1078.
Older than I would have thought. So I guess that means the Lighthouse of Alexandria doesn't exist anymore, is what you're telling me.
It does not exist anymore. No.
I don't know when it went out.
The only wonder of the ancient world that still exists are the pyramids, right?
I believe that's the case.
I think they're the only wonders that are from the ancient world that are still extant. All the others are long gone.
Yeah, like the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, wherever those were.
Yeah.
And all the Colossus of Rhodes, all that stuff, yeah. Okay, I have no idea. I feel like this is a trick one, but I'm still going to go with my gut and say that they did not overlap.
Okay. They did by 245 years.
Really?
The lighthouse was around for a long time. It was hit by a couple earthquakes in like the 900s and then in the 1300s. And in the 1300s after that, a lot of it fell into the ocean and they just abandoned it at that point. It didn't become ruins that were abandoned until 1323.
Out of curiosity, so that's what I was going to ask. Was it still a functioning lighthouse for all that time, or was it kind of a relic?
I believe it was. I believe that there in the harbor, it was a functioning. They kept a fire burning in the top of it for centuries, I believe. But I don't have all that in front of me right now. But yes, that when you think of the wonders from the ancient world, a lot of times you think like Roman Empire or before. And because, I mean, the pyramids are so old.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
a lot of these things are Greek or Roman type, like monuments, where this the Pharos of Alexandria, the Lighthouse of Alexandria is, it extends up into the Middle Ages almost. And so,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
something.
interesting. Yeah. All right. Then our next one, we're going to move back to music. The Beatles and the Eagles.
Meaning like
As
when the
active
groups were
bands.
together.
Yeah, when were they together as a band?
These are really tough, man. Well, what's my clue for this one?
The clue for this one is the Eagles formed in early 1971.
That is helpful. I think the Beatles were real big in the 60s, but I think they still were in the 70s just a little bit. So I'm going to say that they did overlap.
They did not.
Oh, darn.
The Beatles broke up on December 31st, 1970.
And
A
say
few
early
months.
61. Oh, my gosh,
a few months
Jared.
before the Eagles formed in
So
71.
I was right, though, that they were in the 70s just for a little bit. A year.
Yeah. Well, and see, I think of the Eagles as like a late 70s band. I was born in 76, and I think of the Eagles as being big when I was
It's probably when they hit their stride.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah. And the Beatles, I think of
60s
as 1960s,
for sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I would have known off the top of my head what day they dissolved. I know they one of them filed papers and sued the others or something, and they dissolved formally at the end of that year.
I thought it was all Yoko Ono's fault.
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I
I'm
think they
kidding.
still blame her. All right. Next one. Move on to sports. Busch Stadium 3.
Okay.
Okay. And the original Yankee Stadium. Do they overlap?
See, I don't know what date Bush 3 would technically count as being done, but I know that. Oh wait, no. Busch Stadium 3 is the new one.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So that one that started it was opened in 2006. I know that for sure.
Okay.
Because it was the year we won the World Series, the Cardinals, and also the All-Star game was held there that year.
Okay.
So it began in 2006. Problem is, I don't know when the old Yankee Stadium. I'm guessing I already know
Your
my hint.
predetermined hint is the Busch. I knew you would know this. Yeah, Busch 3 opened in April 2006.
Yeah.
So when did the old Yankee
goodness.
Stadium in the Bronx, 1920s till when? When did they finally tear it down with the new one next door?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm going to say they barely overlapped.
They did by 2 seasons.
Okay.
Yep. Yankee Stadium, the original Yankee Stadium, closed in 2008.
It closed in 08?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Some of these new stadiums nowadays are crazy with
the
domes, and they open up and they can be kind of half hybrid stadiums and things.
Yep.
They're really
well,
neat.
I went through and looked at other stadiums looking for questions like this, and I was surprised at how many baseball stadiums I didn't know the names of because the naming rights for so many of them are corporate naming rights. And I was like, oh my goodness, I had no idea that was the name of that town's stadium or whatever. So, yeah, that was a little difficult, but good job on that. Okay, I got 2 more.
Okay.
Here's another presidential one. The lifespans of Presidents Ulysses S. Grant
Oh my goodness.
and Harry S. Truman. So you got the 2 S's that don't stand for anything.
Yes, I knew that. I could have told you that fact. Yeah, well, of course, his name's actually Hiram Ulysses Grant.
Right.
That's his original
correct.
name.
That's correct.
But, well, let's see. So Grant, of course, was general during the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
So that ends in 65.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly how old he was then. But
I
I'm
can
gonna
actually give you the dates of their presidencies,
Okay.
if that helps.
Sure.
Grant was, of course, he was elected in 1868, but he was in office 1869 to 77.
Okay.
And Truman came in 45 and was in through 53.
1945. So I guess the question is, now you said their lifetimes, right?
Their lifetimes, because their times in office are about 75 years apart.
Man. Okay, so what's my clue for this one?
Grant died in July 1885.
1885. Was Truman really that old when he became president?
That's
so
the
15,
question.
15 years plus he became president in 45, you
Yes.
said? Yeah, so he would have been almost 60 years old. He certainly looks kind of old in the pictures that you see of him around that time period.
Okay.
That seems like too much, though. This is going to be one of those like months apart things. All right, I'll bite. I'll say they barely overlap.
You're exactly right. Yes, they did overlap. Grant died in July of 1885. Truman was already born in May of 1884, 10 months earlier. They overlapped by 10 months.
So he was 60 or 61 when he became president?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep. And it's funny that, because Grant wasn't particularly long-lived. He had maybe lung cancer or something like that. And he died, just 8 years out of office. So Civil War, became president pretty quick, and then died fairly soon thereafter. And then you have a century later, you've got Truman, but they actually overlapped. And it just seems like a completely different era. This was actually the first question I had was like, do those two overlap? And they did. And I was like, oh, I can do a quiz on this.
Well, of course, I don't know why it seems so crazy. We just had an election where both individuals were in their 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This game is, the answer is yes for everything for Donald Trump or Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah.
They're both so old, right? All right. Last one. Here you go. And how do you think you've done so far?
Oh, I missed maybe 3 or 4 or so.
You've missed a couple.
Know.
You've got several correct.
Doing okay.
Yeah. So this is number 9. This is the last one I have for you today. The Space Shuttle and John Wayne. Do they overlap?
Goodness. Well, what's my clue for this one?
Okay. The Space Shuttle first flew in 1981. So to be fair, the Space Shuttle was on the drawing boards for years.
It'd be very helpful if I knew when John Wayne was alive.
Well, he was an actor.
Yeah, well, I know all that.
The 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, beyond. But how far
waiting for you to say 80s. Yeah. All right, I'm going to say they do not overlap.
They do not. John Wayne died in 1979. Shuttle flew in 81. They were 22 months apart.
Wow.
And so,
well, at least all of these questions, I have a 50% chance of getting right or wrong.
Yeah, and I didn't mark it down as you went. We can go back and listen to the recording and insert it later. But yes, I thought you did pretty good, especially for no preparation, no warning, and a few of these were definitely outside your normal area of knowledge. And
that's such an interesting topic, an interesting question. I remember doing some trivia sometimes, and one of the trivia night, and the last question frequently would be something to the effect of, here's 4 things, you have to put them in order. Mm-hmm. And man, it's a lot tougher than you would think.
Yeah, that is another quiz. While I was building this one, I'm like, oh, okay, look, which of these, like what order did these arrive? And boy, it's interesting because there's things that you associate with certain time periods that you just don't realize that, well, of course, they lived long before and long after, or the building existed long before or long after the one point in history that it's famous. And it's funny that, if you were alive at that time, you could have seen both at the same time.
That's right.
And so it's really
just like the 7 wonders of the ancient and/or medieval world.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Kaleb, for participating. I appreciate you being a good sport.
Yeah, thanks.